Thank you for being with me and taking the time to subscribe as we get closer to the hurricane season. In the month of May, before the official start of hurricane season, sometimes there's some activity. That's what I want to track in this video, the possibility of some development as we go throughout the rest of the month. Hurricane season officially starts June 1st. Overall, in the month of May, there's been about 50 named systems, so tropical storms. 4 of those have become hurricanes. About every other year, there's a named system somewhere in the Atlantic Basin, the Atlantic, Caribbean, and the Gulf in the month of May, and that's why I'm watching things very carefully. I'm not seeing anything too alarming. I am concerned, though, about a bigger area of rain that will be developing. Right now, here's what's going on. We have a couple scattered showers. St. Kitts and Nevis near Antigua, Barbuda. We have some showers around. Heavier weather back toward the southern U.S. That's where there's going to be flooding. I was highlighting that a few days ago. Significant flooding over the next few days, possible southern U.S., and we'll be watching the rain building right through the Caribbean. Here's a slightly closer look. Still some scattered areas of rain. We'll watch that today. Northeastern Caribbean watching some rain, little flare up of some rain back toward parts of interior sections of Colombia. Now, here is the spot that I'm going to be monitoring the next few days, few weeks really. Back in the Western Caribbean, there could be an area of low pressure developing. That would be kind of a storm system, not necessarily anything too strong, but an area of rain. But then I need to see if it does develop. As of now, I'm not seeing any big signs of development out of it. The American model does try to make this area about a tropical depression or a low-end tropical storm. So a tropical depression is below a tropical storm. It doesn't even get a name. The European model, the Canadian model, and the Icon German model all have this not becoming a storm. Now, sometimes the American model sees things developing a little bit too much. On the flip side, last year especially, the European model did a bad job picking up on development. So it's my job not to just look at the models, but to get a good feel of what's going on in the environment to let you know what I'm seeing. So what I am seeing is, as far as the models are concerned, not much in the way of development. I agree with that, but I am concerned about the very high chance of rain. And there is still a slight chance this area will eventually spin up. So I do want to show you that. Let's go out in time here. Here's the American model. This is today. Let's start short term and then we'll work long term. Plus, I want to show you the European model, or at least kind of the behind the scenes look at the European model. Today, those scattered areas of rain, still the possibility of some flooding, additional flooding back toward the Dominican Republic. Then by tomorrow, it looks like most of the rain will be just to the south of Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to start to see some rain getting a little bit closer, but still Guyana and Suriname, that's where most of it will be. Costa Rica, Panama, as we work our way into Friday. You see how the rain is just to the south and east of Trinidad, Grenada, St. Vincent and Grenadines. Rain chance will bump up a little bit, but no big surge of rain. Now, here we go. Let's go out in time further. This here is by Monday, so Monday, May 12th, and you see the rain starting to build near Central America, which for us in Belize, that would actually be a good thing. We need to get some rain. We haven't had a whole lot. Honduras, Nicaragua, the rain will be building. Watching a front moving by parts of Florida, Cuba, and the Bahamas with additional rain. Very active back through Florida with those afternoon storms. I'll expand out the view in just a second. But here we go. By Thursday of next week, so this is May 15, you see right in here, here's some of that rain that will be building. Now, what I'm seeing is, as we go on time, that higher chance of rain throughout much of the Caribbean, but this model is a little bit confused, which makes sense. This is out on time on where this area may try to develop some. Is it going to be right about here near Central America, or is it going to be a little bit more in the Eastern Caribbean? At the least, I do agree with this, with the extra rain building. Let's go on time further. Stop it here. This is May 19th. So this is as we work our way a couple Mondays from now, and you see a little area here near Central America. This spot is a little more likely to develop. It is showing some additional rain as well for us across our islands of the Eastern and even Northern Caribbean, even the ABC Islands, chance of some rain. And then by the time we get into May 20th, you can see here a couple areas of rain, and you see how active it gets, and that's why we need to monitor to see if anything kind of builds up. I'll show you the water temperatures and the wind shear in just just a second, but this area is more likely to go to the west, this area a little bit more to the east, and this here is May 22nd, and you see here by Thursday, May 22nd, the additional rain, no signs of development in the eastern Caribbean. However, with that said, if this area in the western Caribbean hangs over the warm water temperatures a little bit longer, there is a slight chance that it does spin up into a tropical depression or tropical storm. So Jamaica back toward the west, this in particular will be an area I'll be watching, not just for increased rain, but that chance of some development as we go forward. Now here's the European model, behind the scenes look at the European model, and you see as we get, here's Jamaica, Cuba right here, get over toward Belize, you get toward Haiti and the Dominican Republic. It's showing some yellow in here, a little bit of green, but it's saying, hey, this is gives it about a 30% chance of some development. So the European model is not seeing much in the way of development in the Western Caribbean, but some brighter colors, which grabs my attention, just saying, hey, it is a spot that we do need to watch as we go forward. Now, this map is crazy. I know this is the wind shear. I mentioned I don't just look at the models, I look at everything else. This here is out in time. This is May 17th, right? So here, this is based off the American model, right? I know there's a lot of colors. Here's Jamaica, or rather, here's Jamaica, here's Cuba, Bahamas, here's Florida, here's Belize to orient you. You see right in here, a little spin near Nicaragua. You get over towards San Andres and Providencia. Now, the wind shear in the red shading here, those are winds above our head. That's our friend during the hurricane season. Those are really strong winds that can knock off the tops of developing systems. So the wind shear above our heads is good, and there is some wind shear. So if this area drifts kind of to the north, it runs into high wind shear, and that would mean less likely to develop. And I mentioned in the Eastern Caribbean, I'm not seeing much in the way of development by mid to late May. That's because there is also high wind shear in the Eastern Caribbean. I will monitor that. On the flip side of that, though, the water temperatures are very warm. They're warm this time of year. They're actually below, though, last year at this time. So water temperatures in the Atlantic Basin are a bit cooler than last year at this time. With that said, they're still on the warm side. Last year at this time, there were a lot of records for the water temperatures. You see near Jamaica, we're running at about 29 degrees Celsius, 84 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Swing back toward the Gulf, you see the water temperatures about 80, 81, 82, and there's the Gulf Stream starting to warm up, that warm water current near the Bahamas and the southeast U.S. So water temperatures are plenty warm for development. With that said, what's going on above our heads is a different story. There is that wind shear that will be around, which would be a good thing, and I'll just be monitoring that in additional videos. So again, thank you for taking the time to subscribe. Now, with that said, there is this spin out here. It almost looks subtropical in nature near Bermuda today. That'll bring us a better chance of rain, and there's some of the stronger afternoon storms that will be around, even some morning stuff, but some afternoon storms that will be around the next couple of days southeast U.S. There's that additional rain lifting north of Bermuda. Watching out for a couple systems clipping by us in the Atlantic region of Canada. This here is on Friday. There's that rain building in again. I mentioned that flood threat doesn't really go away. Parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia and the panhandle of Florida. Heavy rain, rounds of rain at times. May get a break for a day or two, then more rain moving in. And there's that rain on Friday clipping by parts of New England. That'll slide back toward New Brunswick as we work our way into Friday night. Now the seas, here's meters, here's feet. Bermuda's right in here. Higher seas today near Bermuda. That's with that spin. Not really tropical in nature, but there's a little spin out there. That'll keep the seas elevated. This here is just rolling into the weekend. And you see nothing too crazy right through the weekend. Now, as we work our way into the weekend, though, the central Caribbean, the seas are going to build a little bit, 2 meters or a little bit higher, 7, 8 feet. We're going to get a bit of a chop as we work our way into the central Caribbean. Now, as far as the rain goes, this stuff in Florida and trying to clip the northern Bahamas, this would be some of those afternoon storms that will be around. Of course, if you get one, you could get a quick 2 to 3 inches of rain, but some spots staying on the dry side. Hit or miss showers and storms the next couple of days for us in Jamaica, kind of like what we had yesterday. Cayman Islands, not a lot. The Dominican Republic, our rain chance is trending down. Haiti, the rain chance is trending down, but still we could get a quick 50 millimeters of rain if we get a thunderstorm moving by. Same thing, Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and I'm still monitoring the earthquake activity. Again, we've had some activity a few days ago, but you see here, northeastern Caribbean, like we have this morning, some rain that has been around. So Antigua, Barbuda, Saba, Statia, just kind of where it depends on where it sets up. St. Kitts and Nevis, we may get a spot or two of 25 millimeters of rain to 50 millimeters of rain, or an inch or two of rain. Dominica South, not as much. Barbados, St. Lucia, here's Martinique, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad. Most of the rain is just to the south, right through Guyana and Suriname. And I mentioned this earlier, the flood threat increases again, the rain increases again, even that black shading in there. We could see some spots in Guyana for a 3-day total of 150 millimeters of rain, or 6 inches of rain. That is a lot of stuff on top of the rain we've already had. And same thing, parts of Costa Rica and Panama, back through parts of Colombia. Watching out for that flood threat. North of Costa Rica, the rain chance is not quite as high. But again, this spot is what we'll be watching for some development by later in the month. And there's that really heavy rain swinging back to our parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, where some spots could get 4, 5, even 6 inches of rain with a couple rounds of it for a 3-day total. So letting you know that flooding, which sometimes gets put on the back burner, it's going to be some real deal stuff. Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So you see the rain chance, how it trends down a little bit for us in Jamaica, 40% chance by tomorrow. Cayman Islands, we're mainly on the dry side. Now the rain chance will bump up a little bit later this week. Trinidad and Tobago, not looking like a washout. I'm just going to keep an eye on some of that rain that is sitting just to the south. The next couple of days in Barbados, rain chance 20%. Isolated St. Lucia, we have a 30% chance of a shower, 30% chance the next couple of days in Grenada, and just a 20% chance today. St. Vincent the Grenadines bumps up slightly by the time we get into Friday. 30 to 40% chance in Martinique, and running at about a 40% chance, a few passing showers possible for us in Dominica. Guadalupe, 50% chance today and a 40% chance for tomorrow. Back there in Antigua and Barbuda, that's where we have more scattered areas of rain around, about a 50, maybe 60% chance of some wet weather. We do that again. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, again, the northeastern Caribbean is more active, so we hold on to a 40% chance. Anguilla and St. Bart's through the end of the week. The next couple of days, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, scattered areas of rain, isolated flooding a possibility, and about a 50% chance the next 3 days in Puerto Rico. Rain chance 50% today, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, 40% chance for tomorrow, just a 20% chance as we work our way through the Bahamas, 20% chance Turks and Caicos, 60% chance today in the Dominican Republic, but it is trending down some, and you see in Haiti, we're looking at about a 30 to 40% chance, so that has gone down. Belize, we are on the dry side. Later this month, our rain chance is going to be bumping up, 20 to 30% chance. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, rain chance holding at about 30%, very isolated in nature, but there we go in Guyana. It gets higher again tomorrow and Friday with that flooding that will be around. Same thing in Suriname, up to a 70% chance of rain for tomorrow. Isolated pop-up shower storm in Cuba favoring our eastern end, about a 70 to 80% chance of rain with the flooding. Parts of Costa Rica and Panama, 40 to 50% chance of some scattered showers in Nicaragua. The next couple of days in Honduras, rain chance at about 30%, and a 50% chance Guatemala and El Salvador. Rain chance will be getting a little bit higher in Mexico City as we work our way through the end of the week, and up to a 40% chance of a shower Yucatan Peninsula once we get toward the end of the week around Merida. Northern Colombia monitoring some of the flooding, especially interior sections. 50% chance of rain northern Venezuela, and that spin that is around Bermuda today could drop an inch or two of rain. Keep me posted. Higher seas and even some of those gustier winds. So monitoring parts of the Caribbean for some development, at the least big areas of flooding. That'll bring more of a significant flood threat as we continue forward through the month. And I'll be tracking those tropical ingredients, the wind shear, the water temperatures, some of that Saharan dust out there. I got you covered. 25 days away from the start of hurricane season. Thank you for spending time with me, and have a really good day ahead.